Hey guys, and welcome to week number 15 of FAQ Friday. So this week's episode is for those who are on the fence of do I rent or do I purchase a home? So it's almost springtime. Chances are there are a lot of leases out there that are pending renewal or, just expiration. If you are considering do I renew or do I let my lease expire, this episode is for you, and hopefully it'll provide some clarity if you're maybe on the fence of renewing or not. So question number one is, should I buy or rent a home? Go figure. So there are a ton of things to consider when you are on the fence. And the biggest thing to consider is how long do you plan to own the home? So that is a combination of just living in the home or living and renting out the home. How long do you plan to own the home? So if the answer to that question is, 3 years or less, and just keep in mind there's no magic number, this is just a general rule of thumb, is if you plan to live in a home for 3 years or less, chances are it may not make sense for you to purchase a home, especially if you're purchasing a home where you're not going to be doing many updates to the home to really appreciate or get some, equity and value in your purchase. And the reason for that is because after, 2 to 3 years, say you go to sell the home, chances are you're probably not going to be able to sell the home for enough to be able to recoup your purchasing costs and your selling costs, unless if you're living in an area where growth is like crazy. So that is the biggest consideration. Other things to consider are, maybe you just really aren't open to the aspect of having to do the maintenance of home ownership. Some people come in from another area and they just want to scope out and just get a feel for the neighborhood before committing financially to a mortgage. And then the other thing is just financial, is like you don't want to purchase a home and completely deplete your savings and then something goes wrong and then all of a sudden you're screwed. So purchasing a home is super, super financial. You want to make sure you're ready. You don't need 10 to 20%, of a purchase price to, put as a down payment. However, just make sure that you have enough money to be able to purchase the home and then have money in your savings if something goes wrong. So that's question number one. Question number two is, do I receive tax benefits for purchasing a home? Yes, you do. So that is another thing to consider. It's a huge benefit because every year when you go to do your taxes, you can deduct your mortgage interest. So that is a huge, huge positive. Other things, if you pay mortgage points when you purchase a home, you can deduct those. And there may be other like area specific or scenario specific things that you can deduct, but you'll have to talk to your accountant about those because I am not an accountant, I'm a realtor. Question number three is, what is rent to own? So this is a very complicated thing to explain in a few minutes, but I'm going to do my best. So rent to own is essentially having the option to lease a property for an extended period of time, and then having that option to purchase the property before the lease expires. So a couple things about this. This is good for those who may not be financially ready. Maybe they need to improve their credit in order to be able to purchase a home. So it gives you that, extra period of time, but potentially to, hold a property for an extended period of time so that you can get financially ready to purchase it when your lease expires or before your lease expires. So a couple things about this is, one, you have to find someone that is willing to rent the property to you for an extended period of time and then sell the property to you when you're ready to purchase it. So finding that is not always easy. There's no list of properties on the MLS that are rent to own. It's just kind of one of those things where you kind of stumble upon it. Maybe I have a scenario of a rent to own situation that's going on right now that he found his perfect home and he wanted to purchase it, but they just weren't financially prepared to purchase it yet. So we have a rent to own situation until December, and then he'll be able to then purchase the home from the owner. So the way we went about this is he found the home, we were, going the purchasing route, and then we found out they weren't financially ready yet, which is totally fine, and it happens. And then what we did was we reached out to the listing agent to ask if the seller was open to doing a rent-to-own situation. So we were super lucky because we found a seller that was open to doing that, which is not always easy to do. If you look online, sometimes that it's in the caption or the remarks where, owner is willing to do rent to own. Sometimes that's the only route that the owner wants to do, which would be a little strange, but that's complicated part number one, is finding a owner that is willing to lease and then lease and then sell the home. Complicated part number two is that a lot of people think that their full rent payment goes towards the purchase of the home, and that's incorrect. So the way it works actually is any money that you put towards the home or put towards your rent that is excess of the market value would go towards the purchase. So for example, say you rent the home for $2,000 a month, and then you pay an extra, let's say $500 a month, and the market value is $2,000, you pay $2,500. So that extra $500, as long as the owner agrees to it, would go towards your purchase. So it's kind of like a forced savings plan. Now the thing to consider about that is, say you decide that you don't want to purchase the home in that year, but you've been paying $2,500 this whole year. That $500 a month does not go back to you. It actually goes to the seller. So major thing to consider, make sure that you're serious about purchasing that home. And then you don't have to pay excess, monthly payments in order to purchase the home. It's only, if that's financially going to work for you. But usually to hold a property, usually a seller is going to want to, see those excess payments to show that you're serious about purchasing the home, because they don't want to have to go through the whole process of relisting, getting all that stuff, getting the home ready to sell the home if you just are likely just not going to purchase the home in the end. So that is all for today. I hope that provided some clarity for you when it comes to renting versus owning. If you have any questions at all about renting, buying, real estate, anything in general, please reach out, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. See ya.